We're coming to you live with some breaking news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, firefighters are actually battling a wildfire.
Oh, God.
Ventura County, California, they're calling it the auto fire.
Okay.
And it all started Monday night, January 13th,
Mm-hmm.
around 8 p.m., near a golf course in Oxnard.
I see.
So, 1 minute it's an ordinary Monday night, and the next you have this huge wall of flames
Right.
threatening lives and property.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be unpacking today. And what's really fascinating
Where's
is
that?
just how quickly these events unfold.
Yeah, especially with how dry it's been.
Right.
It's like a tinderbox out there.
Yeah, and we actually have visuals that show exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, wow.
Images from Alert California and Sky 5
Yeah.
show just how fast this fire spread.
I bet. And when you hear officials saying immediate threat to life,
Right,
it's serious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's kind of walk through what we know so far.
Okay.
By 9:05 p.m., the Ventura County Sheriff's Office issued an evacuation order for Zone 1, which is the Santa Clara River bottom.
Okay.
It stretches between Ventura Road and Victoria Avenue.
Gotcha.
And it seems like the fire was mainly contained to the riverbed,
Okay.
which is fortunate because no residential structures were directly in danger.
Right.
But of course, anybody in or around the river bottom had to get out.
Makes you think, what's my evacuation plan?
That's a good question for everyone listening, especially if you're in a fire-prone area.
Yeah, for sure.
But back to the auto fire. The firefighter response has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, how so?
Well, 75 personnel from Ventura County and the Oxnard Fire Department were on scene within hours.
Wow, that's amazing.
They had 5 additional engines and a bulldozer.
Wow.
And by 10 p.m., a spokesperson said that the fire's forward progress had slowed down significantly.
That's good news.
Yeah, it seems like that quick action really prevented this from becoming something much worse.
Oh, definitely. Those first responders are incredible.
Totally. But while they were fighting, the blaze investigators were already on the scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Trying to figure out what caused it.
That's interesting, like a detective novel?
I know, right? Trying to piece together how it all started.
Yeah.
Was it natural, an accident, or even deliberate?
Who knows right now?
It's a mystery. But, those findings are going to be crucial.
Yeah. Why is that?
Not just for understanding this fire, but also for figuring out how to prevent future ones.
Oh, I see. Each fire teaches us something new.
Exactly. All right, so let's look at some of this visual evidence.
Okay.
Those shots from Sky 5 taken from the helicopter really paint a vivid picture.
I bet.
Even in the early stages, this fire was huge.
Wildfires are so powerful.
Yeah, and the images from around 9:45 p.m. show this huge orange glow
Oh, wow.
against the night sky, just billowing smoke.
Oh, gosh.
And then just 15 minutes later, it looks like the fire doubled in size.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures from 10:20 p.m., you could really see how big it was,
Yeah.
stretching across a massive amount of land.
And those firefighters right there in the middle of it.
I know we're working so hard to contain it.
Yeah, it really makes you realize the risks they take to protect us.
Absolutely.
Mm.
But, it also shows how effective they are
Right.
and how important it is that they have all the resources they need.
Definitely. And the ground level photos from the Ventura County Fire Department,
Yeah.
those offer a whole other view.
Okay.
There's one shot of a firefighter just silhouetted against the flames,
Yeah.
aiming a hose at the heart of the fire.
Such a powerful image of courage.
I know, right? It really captures that human element.
Yeah. Okay, so let's switch gears for a second
Okay.
and take a look at those Alert California images.
Okay.
They show a different perspective on how the fire developed.
Oh, how so?
Well, the Willis Peak 1 camera gives this wide-angle shot of the entire area.
Okay.
And it's crazy to see the fire erupt and grow within just an hour.
Wow.
It starts as this tiny flicker, and then boom, it explodes across the landscape.
It's scary how fast these fires can start and spread.
Yeah, it really is a sobering reminder. And, this brings us to a really important question.
What's that?
What lessons can we learn from this, and how can people and communities be better prepared for these wildfires?
That's what we're all wondering.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good.
It's amazing to think that even though this auto fire was a big deal, it also kind of shows how good our firefighters are at what they do.
Oh, yeah. I totally see what you mean.
They were so fast getting there, all the equipment they had, and how they slowed the fire down so quickly.
That's true. We don't always see that with wildfires, especially when you have strong winds or super dry conditions.
So you're saying this fire could have been way worse than it was?
Yeah, possibly. The fact that it mostly stayed in the riverbed and away from homes
Right.
really shows how skilled and prepared they are.
That's good to hear, but it still doesn't change the fact that people had to evacuate and the environment might be damaged.
No, of course not every wildfire, big or small, has consequences. We can't forget that.
It goes back to that big question we had before. What can we learn from this? And how can we use those lessons in the future?
Well, one thing that's clear is how important early detection and quick response are.
Hmm.
The faster we can spot these fires and deal with them,
Right.
the better chance we have to keep them under control and reduce the damage.
And technology like Alert California is a huge part of that early detection.
Absolutely. Those cameras are so valuable.
Yeah.
They give firefighters a real-time view of where fires might be starting so they can get a head start.
Like an early warning system.
Exactly. But we can't just rely on technology.
Right.
We also need those skilled firefighters on the ground.
Yeah, their training and courage are so important. They're the ones out there risking their lives.
Absolutely. And then there's the community. What can people do to be ready for these situations?
That's a good point. It's up to all of us to be prepared if we live in a fire-prone area.
For sure. We need to have an evacuation plan ready, clear brush around our homes, and know what to do in an emergency.
So being prepared could actually save lives.
Definitely. And we also need to stay updated on fire weather conditions and listen to what the authorities are telling us.
Because even a few minutes can make a big difference.
Yeah, a delay in evacuating could have terrible consequences.
It's true. We should really be thankful for the firefighters and how quickly they contain the auto fire.
Absolutely.
But we need to use this as a chance to learn
You're right.
and to get ourselves and our communities ready for the next one.
Yeah, these wildfires are becoming more and more common, so we got to be prepared.
That preparation involves individuals, communities, and having enough resources.
It's a big challenge that we constantly have to be thinking about and adapting to.
You mentioned before about how this fire could hurt the environment. Can you talk more about that?
Sure, so wildfires are actually a natural part of a lot of ecosystems.
Right.
But with them happening more often, they can really hurt the plants and animals.
Oh,
It can destroy habitats, displace wildlife, and disrupt that delicate balance of the ecosystem.
and it can take a really long time for those areas to recover.
Definitely, sometimes the damage is even permanent.
So we can't just focus on people and property. We have to think about the environment too.
Exactly. We need to invest in research, restoration, and sustainable land management to
Yeah.
make sure our natural world stays healthy and can bounce back.
It all goes back to being ready, right?
Yeah.
Protecting ourselves and the environment.
We're all connected. What happens to one of us affects all of us.
That's a powerful thing to remember, especially after what happened with this fire.
I agree.
We talked before about the investigators trying to figure out what started the auto fire.
Yeah, they're putting all the pieces together,
And it's important to realize that there are lots of reasons why wildfires start.
right? Some are natural and some are caused by people.
I think most people think about lightning strikes first,
Yeah, that's true. When lightning hits dry brush, it can easily start a fire.
especially during a drought like we have here in California.
Exactly, and climate change is making those dry conditions even worse.
But we also have to think about the things people do that can start fires.
Definitely things like throwing away cigarettes, faulty equipment, or sparks from cars.
All of those can start fires.
And then there's arson,
Oh, right. People intentionally starting fires.
which is awful. Those fires can cause so much damage to people and the environment.
It's sad but true. So as the investigators work on the auto fire,
Mm-hmm.
we need to remember that there are many different things that can cause these fires.
Yeah, right. It's complex.
So besides being prepared, we also have to be careful about things that could start fires.
Yeah,
And try to reduce those risks.
absolutely.
So we've talked about what happened with the auto fire and how quickly the firefighters got things under control. But what about the long-term stuff?
Yeah, you're right. The effects of a wildfire don't just disappear when the fire is out.
Exactly. So let's think about those who had to evacuate. What are they facing even after the danger is gone?
Well, first of all, there's the disruption to their lives.
Yeah.
Imagine having to leave your home, not knowing what you'll find when you get back.
Yeah, and even if their homes are okay, there's still smoke and ash in the air.
Right. And that can be dangerous to people's health.
And then there's the stress of knowing it could happen again.
Definitely. And we can't forget about the economic impacts either.
Oh, right. Like businesses having to close and the cost of fighting the fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that affects the local economy. And we also talked about the environmental damage.
Right, the plants and animals, the soil and the water,
Right.
all of that can be affected for a long time.
Yeah, it's a reminder that these fires have consequences that last for Years, even decades.
It makes you realize that this auto fire is just one small part of a bigger problem.
Exactly. We're seeing more and more wildfires in California and across the West, and they're getting worse.
And that's because of things like climate change and the drought.
Yeah, and also because more people are living in areas where wildfires are likely to happen.
It sounds like we're creating the perfect conditions for these fires.
It really does. So we need to be doing more than just putting out fires when they start.
So what can we do?
We need to manage our forests, better plan our communities with fire risk in mind, and be more careful about fire safety ourselves.
It sounds like we need to change the way we think about wildfires.
Yeah, instead of just reacting to them, we need to be proactive.
So how do we do that?
Well, we could do controlled burns in forests to reduce the amount of fuel, clear brush around homes, and teach people more about fire safety.
It's a lot to think about, but it's something we have to do to protect ourselves and the environment. This auto fire is a wake-up call.
It is.
It shows how fast these fires can start
Yeah.
and how powerful they can be.
And the impact can be devastating, but there are things we can do.
Yeah, if we learn from what happened, understand the science, and work on solutions.
We can create a future where wildfires aren't seen as these unavoidable disasters.
Right, but as events that we can manage and live with.
Exactly.
That's a good thought to end on. Before we finish up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one last question. We saw how quickly the auto fire spread. So what can you do today to be better prepared if it happens again? It's something to really think about because it can make all the difference when the next fire starts. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the auto fire.